All right, live. Here we go. Going for a theme tonight. I've been having a lot of general rambles on these live feeds, but I'm going to go with the theme because I think talk through might come up with some stuff, and it's going to be mostly about Trump and what's going on, what might happen, you know, arguably what should happen in my incredibly partisan view, and I'll be bouncing off. And one of the benefits of doing this live is I can get feedback from people and I find out what people are actually thinking or what's important to them or what they want to know. I mean, I have my own views and I'm not shy about presenting them. So when a few people join and start having a conversation, I can get the right angle. I'm actually finding, I'm just talking to you people who watch this later because there's no one live yet. It usually takes a couple of minutes for people to get into the live feed. So for anyone watching this back later, this is exclusively for you. Don't think you missed out. You're special because the people who come in later, they're going to go, oh no, I missed the start, and they could go and watch it later, I guess. But you and me, we're having this little sharing bit now, and setting the scene, as it were. I hope we are, anyway, because the display on the phone is saying very bad connection, and I'm never really sure what's happening. Oh my god! I just realised. The dishwasher's probably making a huge amount of noise. I'm in the kitchen. You see the fridge, booze, tonic water for mixing drinks. It's all happening. So, yeah. Now, there's nobody here yet, and that's unusual, as the saying goes. There's normally a few people by now, so I'm starting to wonder if the notification actually went out. Very hard for me to know because I'm sitting in a little bubble. I could check that. Wait, there's someone there now. Just waiting for someone to tell me they're actually in the room. Celtic King, hi. So, oh yes, okay, now people are coming. I think this is just one of those internet delay thingies. Okay, Eagle Duke, thank you for that username. I will just be calling you Eagle from now on. Dragonlight, hello there. So, okay, we're off and running. I've done the preamble. Batherite, hello. Nice to see everyone. Now, I think there is a delay, and I think it's different for different people, but there is a delay between when I say something, when you hear it, and when I see your response back. Sometimes I think it can be quite a long delay. So we'll see how that goes. Hey, more than dragon. That's more than red dragon, maybe. Yes, it's all a bit iffy. Yeah, Dragonlight, you're right. Streaming is different, and because there's the lag to all the way. Hi, Lisa. How are you? I mean, I'm used to that. You know, it's like, you know, the perils of online gaming, getting the lag. You never know what's really happening in a given time frame. So my phone display keeps doing this very bad connection thing, and it shouldn't really. So I'm just going to ignore it because in previous live streams, when I've said it's saying that, and I don't know if it's going, everyone's going, no, it's actually fine. So there's that. Okay, two very different stories. How's Aidsy and the angry question, asked Celtic King. Aidsy is physically not that bad for him, as in, you know, there's no disease eating away. He's having a bit of issue with anxiety at the moment, that's acting up on him to the point he doesn't want to leave his flat. Like, noises and people are very bad for him at the moment. So I will hopefully see him soon. He keeps me posted. Lets me know every now and then. Might see him this weekend. And of course, if I see him this weekend, we'll make videos. Even if we just do a live stream, we will do that. So yes, I know everyone's missing him, and I'm missing him. So hopefully we might get to see him this weekend and make some of the video type entertainments for you all. And as for the Angry family, everyone's fine. Mrs. Angry and her son are next door watching Star Trek. Young Ms. Angry is at work, and young Mr. Angry is playing online games with his friends. That might be why I'm occasionally getting bad signals, because he's using up all the bandwidth playing his game. He'll probably come out in a minute and complain, like his game will start lagging. And so, you uploading a video? What are you doing? Nathan Kirchner, anxiety is the mind killer. Slight variation on the line. I'm back. Okay, apparently I'm back. Seeing all the messages. Yeah, it's just been really unstable. So hopefully I'm back. Now everyone's gone away. Now I don't know if everyone's going to come back. Wi-Fi, curse you. I used data on one of the other live streams when my Wi-Fi crapped out. And I got a note from my telco that I'd used up a lot of my Wi-Fi. Luke, nothing much. This is just really the preamble and talking. So we're just all getting in the groove, and my feed dropped out for a while. Hopefully it's stabilizing. Hopefully it's going to stabilize. Should be better. Thinking with an iPhone, I think my only choices are Wi-Fi and data. Like, you can't do a hard line from a router, a modem, into an iPhone, can you? Is there an adapter that lets you do that? I don't think so. I'm not actually that good on the technology with iPhones, but I mean, obviously, if I could get a direct line from my iPhone into my modem, which is a cable modem, which is about the fastest speed you can get domestically in Australia, I wouldn't have any problems. But I don't think that's a thing you can do. So we'll leave it. I know I could get Jamato only just started, really. You haven't missed anything. Well, Dragonlight, this is what the iPhone setup is like for streaming, because the YouTube app recently got quite good mobile. Mobile live streaming is like snap, one touch, you're there. For some reason, they've made streaming from a laptop or a desktop really fucking hard. You have to download these additional clients, and they don't fucking work, and it's just... Yeah, David, says the problem with the buffering, it might be at your end, it might be at my end, it might be somewhere in between. Too many variables. Yes, it is kind of suck sauce. I'm not on the NBN. I like have the Foxtel cable TV and get the internet through that, and that offers the fast speeds that the fastest NBN is supposed to. Bo, you've hit on the thing I wanted to talk about, spend a bit of time talking. The Trump fiasco. Hey from Sweden. Yes, I still have multiples of the angry mask. Thanks, Bo. Everything is well. So, the Trump fiasco. This is kind of fascinating to watch, because it's absolutely unprecedented. The most powerful political office in the world, just run by a bunch of narcissistic cowboys. It's just like everyone in the Trump administration is in on the scam. It's like let's get in and just do stuff we always wanted to do and profiteer and just, you know, tear the system apart. And it's really disturbing to watch. And the Republicans are fucking gutless. Like, they sell out so quickly for a chance at power, and they won't stand up. And you look at it like, everyone's, you know, people have been saying for, you know, oh, he's not going to last, he's going to get impeached, he's going to get charged with something. It's literally impossible to know what's actually going to happen. Do I think anything's going on behind the Trump administration? See, okay, this was the big question with the way the Trump administration was behaving. Looking at them from the outside, they were either deeply, deeply evil and actual textbook fascists, or severely incompetent. The end result would have been the same. Like, the complete sort of chaos and destruction would have been the same if that was the game plan, or if they were too stupid to stop it from happening. And I think in the last week, we've got the unequivocal answer. It's stupidity. It's incompetence. The just flat out inability to manage anything. I mean, there are some outright fascists in the administration. Trump's advisors who are literal Hitler worshippers, white supremacists, people who are into the idea of genocide. That's who's there. But they're incompetent. They're infighting. They're screwing up almost everything they do. And the whole thing with the sacking of the FBI director, then inviting Russians into the White House and telling them classified information, that, to me, that is the kicker. These people are idiots. Trump particularly is a narcissistic idiot. I mean, he's ruthless, he's vicious, but on top of it, he's incompetent and a moron. He's like a pathetic, deluded narcissist who's been sheltered his whole life and has either never had anyone tell him what a fucking unit he is, or just hasn't listened to people who have said that. I mean, like, he's an incompetent criminal of the highest order. It's just, when you look at his business empire, it's just a succession of scams, shady deals, and outright incompetently run companies. And like, Trump inherited a huge amount of money from his notoriously racist property developer dad. And a few people have done the maths and shown if Trump had done nothing but sit in his basement playing with his crayons like he should have, and left the money he inherited in a like low interest bearing long-term bond, he'd be richer now than he is if he'd done nothing and just like put the money in a bank. But he's blown so much money, mostly other people's money. He's just run scam after scam after scam and burned through other people's money. I think the actual stumbling into the presidency has given us the definitive answer. Trump is incompetent. He is a moron. He's a narcissist who hasn't developed morally or intellectually beyond about the age of 12. But he's been given a lot. And like a lot of people who are given a lot, he's formed the delusion that he deserved it, that he earned it. and he doesn't. He's not earned anything his whole life. He's been handed almost everything, and what he hasn't been handed, he's stolen. Jail Trump and Hillary together. Well, it's funny. See, Clinton is no more or less corrupt than any other politician. If you were going to take action, and I think if you cast a rigorous eye over everything Clinton had done, okay, Gemma, that story about her getting rapists off is 99% a lie. Very important point, she was a lawyer, and particularly in the American legal system, if you're appointed someone's defense attorney, you are required to give them a good defense. Hey, big bad ads. And there was a case where she was given the job to be the public defender for a guy. Now, Miranda rights is the rights to not incriminate yourself when the police arrest you. So she was actually required, or she would have been disbarred as a lawyer if she didn't defend the guy she was assigned to defend. Now, the stories that go along about it, that she laughed about it and did terrible things to the child who was the victim of the rapist, they are complete and utter lies. Okay, you have to understand that virtually everything the Republicans have ever said about the Clintons, and Hillary Clinton in particular, is a lie. It's just a flat out fabrication. The whole thing about her helping rapists is not true, but it's possibly not as bad as Pizzagate, which was one of the most disgusting, vile pieces of fabrication ever. But as I said, but if you cast an eye on Clinton, a really critical eye, you would almost definitely find dodgy shit. And that goes for every elected representative who's ever elevated to a position of power, and every business owner, every head of every company. If you really looked at them, you'd find criminal dealings. See, this is what I would have preferred as a candidate, Bernie Sanders, by orders of magnitude, just because I think there was at least the potential that he could have shaken things up. Having said that, the Bernie bros annoy the shit out of me. People who go, Bernie would have won. No, okay? You have no way of knowing what the outcome would have been if Sanders was the candidate. You don't know, so saying this blanket statement, Bernie would have won, is fucking moronic. Don't do it. Plus, Eagle Jew. The Jew part is one of the things that would hold Sanders back a lot, and the Trump campaign would have played on that really hard. The second thing, remember, he's a socialist. See, they never even opened the barrels on Bernie, but they had what's known as opposition research, Oppo research they call it, the stuff they were gonna bring out, and stuff that was actually true of him, like palling around with the Sandinistas in South America, talking about, how the American troops deserve to be killed and stuff. They had a bucket load of stuff that they would have gone really hard on him. And it's impossible to know how that would have played out. Like I said, Trump is a dangerous, narcissistic, infantile criminal, and is possibly going to bring about the destruction of humanity. Clinton was a party hack, the most boring sort of career politician, and it just would have been same old, with no significant change. Sanders, at least there was a possibility of things getting shaken up in a positive way. So, yeah, I would have preferred him as a candidate over Clinton, because Clinton's just a party hack. And all the Republican Party put up were party hacks. I mean, Trump stood out so much because of he wasn't a Republican Party hack, and he could expose them for what they are. Sanders wasn't a party hack. So I don't know. So sort of like a left-wing loose cannon and a right-wing loose cannon. Who would have known what happened? Joe Biden, that's an interesting point. Everyone loves Joe Biden. He is such a funny guy. Like, he's kind of like your crazy uncle at a Christmas party. It's like, oh, I love Uncle Joe, but you're never quite sure what he's gonna say or do. But again, as a man who's dedicated his life to public service, he comes across as a man of integrity, a bit weird, just a bit weird, but in a kind of funny way. So, and if the last 8 years gave us nothing else, they gave us Obama-Biden memes, which I love so much. The Obama-Biden memes crack me up. I think they're one of the best things. It's just with the running joke of Biden being really impetuous and driven by his heart and feeling everything really strongly, and Obama trying to calm him down. And just because you have all these photos of Biden that are just funny photos, and people came up with the best captions for them. It was really good. Well, Jatma, you're right. See, this thing. Biden was kind of funny and quirky and a bit weird and a bit unpredictable. But yeah, Trump is the fucking Antichrist. So, well, okay. Andrew Schwer saying Trump's gonna flag, he's under a lot of pressure. And despite the crazy doctor report saying he was the healthiest presidential candidate ever, which was bizarrely, obviously untrue. Oh, Jack, are you drunk? That's the best way to do live streams. I'm not drunk. I'm having a drink, but yeah, you've got to look at a very real possibility of Trump dropping dead. He's an old, unfit man, is not in great health, and is under enormous stress. The possibility of him dropping dead is actually probably higher than the possibility of him getting impeached. Now, this is another thing I want to explore, and I might do this like properly in an edited video. What would happen if Trump was out of office, whether he was removed by an impeachment or another proceeding, whether he resigned because he was scared of an impeachment or being prosecuted, or if he dropped dead. The really big unknown is what his supporters would do. Because you remember that a lot of the hardcore Trump supporters were saying like, yeah, no one ever represented us, Trump's our guy, the establishment is evil, and they're very conspiracy minded. So, no matter what happens, if Trump leaves office, if Trump is no longer president, a hardcore of his supporters would have fuel to say it was stolen from you. And a lot of them have guns. I'm just saying. A lot of them have guns, and they've threatened various things. Now, if they had the fuel and the conspiracy of saying either, like if he drops dead, they'll say he was murdered. If he's removed, they'll say the presidency was stolen. Now, they might do nothing. That's actually probably the most likely thing, that they'll do nothing. they'll just get angry, but they won't do nothing, and it'll just be a standard Republican administration. But that's a huge unknown. There could be really serious, violent uprisings. Probably wouldn't be, but there could be. It's a really big unknown. Now, the known, if Trump is no longer president, the known is Pence. And Pence is a fucking nightmare. See, because at least Trump is an outsider and the Republican establishment hates him. And if they thought they could get away with it, they would remove him. And in fact, if he gets impeached, it's by Republicans. Democrats don't have the numbers to impeach him until at least 2018. So Democrats can't do it, Republicans have to do it. It's almost certain if he gets impeached, it will be because of Republicans. And the Republicans do hate him. And they love Pence. Pence is a down-the-line, conservative, evangelical Christian. So they love him. But for the rest of the world, Pence, let's just see. He is an active advocate of torturing gay teenagers until they say they're not gay. He would push the most conservative Christian theocratic ideas and try and get the government to turn into a Christian theocracy. So it was really funny. A lot of Trump's fans, the Reddit and 4chaners and the neo-Nazis, they would, a majority of them would not like an ultra-Puritan Christian or passing laws like blocking all their favourite sites on the internet, monitoring them constantly, and yeah, very much like arresting them, spying on them and arresting them. The biggest Trump supporters would be on the very pointy end of the things Pence clearly wants to do. Like, sure, he's gonna shaft anything like Black Lives Matter or gay rights or women, and so on the surface, the little neo-Nazis who support Trump will go, yay! But when he starts taking away their porn, when he starts monitoring their internet, when he starts prosecuting them, they're not going to be happy. They're going to take that kind of personally. And they really will be on the pointy end of a lot of Pence's policies, and they will not like it. So, yeah, it's the thing. Everyone's so focused. Okay, and Trump's horrible. Trump is without precedent. It's a degree of horrible that, is really hard even, months later to wrap your head around. But I honestly think a lot of people aren't thinking, and then? Because the succession is really obvious. I mean, people saying this ridiculous. I get really annoyed with people who say things like, what am I trying to say? People say things like, oh, well, if Trump gets impeached, then that, because we proved the Russians tampered with the election, then his whole election was invalid, so Pence can't be VP. It's like, just fucking shut up about what you want and what your fantasies are, and come to terms with what reality is. Succession is incredibly straightforward. Trump goes for whatever reason, Pence becomes president. That's it. That's how it works. Your wish list of, no, I want to invalidate that whole election because it was bogus. Boo-hoo. It's how it is, okay? So, yeah, everyone... It's weird. If Trump is gone, that's only one fight over. A President Pence would be a fucking nightmare. And the hilarious thing is, see, you remember how Pence didn't even run in the primaries? He didn't run as a presidential candidate? Because there's no fucking way he'd get voted in. Like, his extreme, repressive Christian views are so out of pace with everyone except a tiny minority, people wouldn't have voted for him. Like, no way all these alt-right neo-Nazis would have pushed Pence as president, because they would have seen straight away what he's going to do to their porn and their favourite websites. Yeah, sorry, then we're now just saying the next in succession is Paul Ryan, who, again, very establishment Republican, loves Ayn Rand, you know, wants to completely dismantle anything remotely approaching public assistance from the government. So, yes. Oh, Leo, look, Jude Maris and a few others pointing out, maybe if Trump was impeached, Pence could be implicated. That is distinctly possible. That is absolutely distinctly possible. But only possible. I'd call it a remote possibility. And yeah, even if he was out, then it would be Ryan, just a really sort of boring yuppie Republican. So the fight, but at least you'd be fighting a known thing. Yeah, you know, I've been saying, we always have the rhetorical question, what's the worst that could happen? I feel like Trump has answered that. Trump has answered, what's the worst that could happen? Something like this. Okay, Jude Maris saying Ryan's up to it. Again, this is me being cynical, and nothing would make me happier than to be proven wrong. But this whole idea of, Pence is in it, Ryan's in it, yes, but the establishment won't allow that much damage. They'll allow Trump, they'll allow all his appointees, because anyone who's outside the normal Republican circles, they'll throw on the fire. But Pence is inside the Republican circles, and Ryan's way inside the Republican circles. They won't allow that much damage to happen. I'd love to be proven wrong, but that is my firmly held belief that they won't let that happen. And, you know, even if Trump does no more damage, which is a really fucking huge if, one of the worst things he's done is fucking screw up the entire institution. Like, he's cheapened it so much, he's turned it into such garbage, it's made it such an obvious criminal scam that almost everyone would seem better by comparison. And that's kind of bullshit. It's like, when someone does, if, you know, someone else from any party comes in and proposes anything really fucked and does anything really fucked, you'd always be, well, at least they're not Trump. And now people have seen Trump's success with that sick, ugly, racist demagoguery that he pushed. They're like, well, fucking gloves are off now. You can do that and win. Jesus, all the shit I've always wanted to say but were too scared, I'm just going to say it, because if you just act like it doesn't matter, it doesn't matter. And he's just cheapened everything so much. No. Yeah. No impeachment's going to happen unless Republicans go for it. And I don't know, who knows? The humorous thing to me is how stupid his move was to fire the FBI director. It's like, because even if that wasn't because, oh no, I've done some incredibly dodgy shit and they'll find out and he won't stop looking, even if that's not the case, and I believe that is the case, but even if it isn't, you created the impression that it is, and you alienated the entire intelligence infrastructure. And you saw that almost straight away. Like, the next day, when the deputy head of the FBI is the acting head of the FBI, and he's being questioned, and they said, oh, well, Trump said, he's not under, there's nothing to the Russia investigation. Is that true? And he said, nope, there's something to the Russian investigation. Oh, Trump said no one in the FBI likes Comey. Is that true? And he went, no, everyone likes Comey. And it's just like straight in Trump's face, straight away saying, you done fucked up, motherfucker. You've got everyone pissed off. And the sort of stuff they've already been leaking. And, now a special counsel's been appointed, a former FBI director. Yikes. Here's the thing. Of all the things we've seen reported that stand a very big chance of being true, here are the two biggest that you may or may not heard of. You've probably heard of the PP tape. The idea that the Russians set up when Trump was in Moscow for the Miss Universe pageant. They had some sex workers go to his room, and it was video, whether or not they were urinating on a bed or not. The idea that the Russians deliberately set him up with some incriminating video. Personally, I think that's about 95% likely to be true, because the sources of it are quite credible and know what they're talking about. And this is the sort of shit the Russians do all the time. So I think it's about 95% likely to be true that the Russians have incriminating video of Trump. Now, the other one that you may not know, there are rumors about a deal where an oil well was sold as part of a deal between the Russians and the Trump campaign, that a deal was done where the ownership of an oil well changed. And this was a deal in the hundreds of millions of dollars. Now, this was all involved assets moving from shell company to shell company to shell company to shell company to shell company, and it'd be very hard to prove unless someone involved just decides to turn on Trump and turn some papers over. This has been reported by a couple of sources. This may not be true, but there's enough people have pointed to it. And there was definitely a changing of hands of this particular oil well in Russian control. And if that was a direct bribe to Trump and or people in his campaign, that is like hugely criminal. And now those people are totally compromised, because if they ever do anything that Putin doesn't like, the papers for the deal will get released. And that is probably a bigger deal than any sort of sex tape they have on Trump. Because at a certain point, I think Trump might rightly assume, you know what, if you actually did release a video that was purportedly of me with some sex workers, even if they were peeing, that actually wouldn't hurt me that much with my hardcore supporters. But a deal for shifting assets for hundreds of millions of dollars, that's where you nail people to the wall. And God, a 91 documentary on Trump. Yeah, well, that's the thing. Trump's been a joke and a criminal and a scammer forever. He's totally fabricated any idea that he's successful. The whole notion that Trump is successful is a blatant lie. Like, he's a big shambling failure. He's just a set of domino failures. Everything he's ever touched has been a failure. Yeah, see, Joe, well, that's our thing. Would Trump be more appealing if he was on fire? I think so. Oh, Jude Maris, was the peeing thing with the sex workers in Russia. See, with some people, that would be worse. The version of the story that's probably true is not that the sex workers were peeing on Trump. And I love this because this is bizarre and this fits Trump's psyche 100%. The shallow, pathetic, domineering, bullying, mentally prepubescent child. The story goes that he actually paid them to piss on a bed that the Obamas slept in because in his mind that was somehow belittling the Obamas. That fits his psyche 100%. Yeah, people who say that Trump's not imagined enough to be kinky are right. All Trump is, I mean, he said it himself, he's the pussy grabber. Trump is just an abuser on the sexual front. Trump is just an abuser. You know, his own ex-wife related a case of Trump violently raping her, and then as part of the divorce settlement, she had to deny that. But she went on record of detailing how when Trump was angry, he violently raped her. And then she got a big settlement in the divorce. And part of the settlement was she was never allowed to say that again. And she had to retract the story. And so she retracted the story. And that, of course, means the story's not true. That's what Trump says. He goes, well, the story's not true because after she said it and she got paid off and signed a document saying it wasn't true, that means it definitely wasn't true. It's like, okay. If you want some funny stuff on Trump, remember his famous book, The Art of the Deal, which he didn't write, had a ghostwriter. Look up the stuff the ghostwriter has been saying, because what actually happened, there's a big thing, it was going to be like Trump's autobiography or whatnot, and so the ghostwriter went in and went, right, okay, let's go, let's get your stories. And Trump just has no focus. Everyone agrees on this. Trump has no focus. He's he can't stick on any one thing, and he couldn't even tell his own story. And the ghostwriter found it really frustrating, and he was in Trump's office and Trump's doing calls, and the ghostwriter said, you know what, we should change what this is, okay? You're all about the business and the making deals. I should just sit here, I should be a fly on the wall, and I should hear all your deals. And we should make the whole book about how you do deals. The Art of the Deal. It was supposed to be Trump's autobiography, and it became The Art of the Deal. And that worked because that got around Trump's complete inability to focus for more than 10 minutes. He didn't interview Trump at all from that. He just hung around and he embellished stuff from phone calls, and but now the ghostwriter feels like it's all his fault. Like that book was really successful and created a myth around Trump, that Trump's the deal maker, Trump's the businessman, he's successful, and it's blatantly untrue. And so he's started saying, okay, this is what Trump really is. This is how Trump really relates to people. This is and so yeah, look up stuff he's been saying because it's hilarious. Oh yeah, and the current thing with this is what we're saying. There's a few people saying things about how Trump contradicts his own PR. Like the White House say, oh no, Trump didn't say that or do that or mean that, and then Trump just goes and does an interview like, yep, I did it for that reason. Yep, I did that. It's like because he's such a narcissist, he can't cope with the idea, the concept that he's not in control. So if at any point there's a suggestion that he's not in control of what's happening, you go, yes, I am. I did that. That was my decision. I did that. Even when it's ridiculous and self-incriminating, he's more upset at the idea that he could be perceived to not be in control rather than just shutting the fuck up and not incriminating himself. He doesn't even understand that he's a criminal. He is stupid. Well, I think I will say it again. We've had the unequivocal answer in the last week. The core thing with Trump is he's stupid. He's so driven by ego. He's so impetuous. He's so immature. He's so clueless. He's so unable to focus or even understand anything of complexity. It's his stupidity that's driving everything. Yeah, and look, yeah, he's nasty. He's mean. He's spiteful. You can call him evil if you want, but that isn't what's driving him. What's driving him is his immaturity, his complete lack of control, and he's fucking stupid. Yeah, the Dunning-Kruger effect. He doesn't know how stupid he is. I mean, Trump's like a fucking squirrel. I watched a few videos recently. People go, squirrels doing cute things, and I'm looking at it going, man, squirrels are hyper as fuck. Look at the way they behave. They're all twitchy, and everything's really fast and twitchy with squirrels. And Trump has that level of attention and focus. He's just, everything flash. Oh, shiny thing, twitch. And he's so insecure. That's the hilarious thing. Like, a few people highlighted that he recently said something about exercise is actually bad for you because it wears out your body. There's an old joke that goes that way, that our heart's only meant to beat a certain number of times and then you die. If you exercise, your heart rate goes up, so you wear your heart out faster and then you're gonna die. And Trump basically said that, and maybe it was meant to be a joke. Maybe he was making that joke. Oh, I don't exercise because that would wear out my body. But he's so fucking stupid. It's really easy to look at it and go, I actually think he thinks that was an insightful thing to say. Because it's like when he was interviewed recently and someone said, the Oval Office, it was Bush said, the Oval Office has no corners to hide in. And Trump, who's like a millimeter thin on the intellectual level, just starts saying something literally about there being no corners, and the interviewer's trying to help him and say, no, this was not a literal thing about the shape of the room. Former President Bush was saying something about how you can't hide here, it's all about you. And it wasn't getting through to Trump at all. Like, George W. Bush is a fucking intellectual giant compared to Donald Trump. Who would have thought that would happen? I mean, we all laughed about Bush's inability to form a coherent sentence and what a vacuous, spoilt nitwit he was. And, only 8 years later, we've got, no, there are people who can get in this job who are way fucking stupider than George Bush. Like, way, it's not even close. It's not even close. And he's just so stupid. It's like, actually, Cliff Jumper, that's nail on the head there. As I said, he's so immature, he is a toddler. He has no object permanence. Toddler, you go hide and seek, it's like, I can't see anymore, therefore it's literally not there. Trump clearly believes if he makes a statement, that makes it true. If he denies something, that means that isn't true. And he can and does flip in the same series of sentences to completely turn and that's fine as far as he's concerned. So it's just like, you got someone who's always had everything handed to them their whole life, now has the presidency handed to them, and is still so insecure. Like, the instant you say something that challenges him, he freaks out, loses, like his statement today or yesterday about, oh, there hasn't been a political candidate who's ever been treated worse than me. And it's like, first, shut up, you whining fucking bitch. I mean, seriously, no one's hurt more than me. It's like, I've seen like European soccer players trying to get a free kick who whine less than he does. It's like, and when he says and does stuff like that, and he does it all the time, I look at the people who go like, yeah, I want a strong leader like Trump. How is he strong? He's weak. He's clearly a coward. He's insecure. He's pathetic. He's whiny. He's a fucking loser. He is a very, very weak person's idea of a strong person. He's like a kid's caricature of a tough guy. But he's utterly vacuous. He's an empty bag of skin, maybe with some fetid manure slopping around in the loose skin sack. Like, he's so pathetic. He's so weak. He's so cowardly. What about, we're saying, is Abbott stupid? It's interesting. Abbott is on a much smaller scale. Abbott he said some very stupid things. But again, Abbott had stuff handed to him his whole life. And he's raging narcissist again. He doesn't have anywhere near the number of failings that Trump does, but he was able to say and do incredibly stupid things. Are we talking about the dismissal now? Okay, here's the thing. When people say, do you think Australia should be a republic? I say, yes. And I did get a message that's breaking up. I can't control that. There are too many variables. I don't know if it's breaking up for everyone or just some people. Okay, Australia should be a republic because having a foreign power as head of state is fucking ridiculous. And people who say, that could never go wrong. Okay, November 11th, 1975, when the democratically elected government of Australia was removed by the unelected representative of the Queen. And the Queen allowed it to go ahead because she is our titular head of state and she could have stopped it from happening. So yes, we should be a republic so a foreign power can't remove our government. And that has happened, so don't say it won't happen again because it has happened. And that is completely unacceptable. So we should be a republic. Okay, now it's telling me I've got a very bad connection. A few people saying messages that it was definitely breaking up. I've watched back one of these on YouTube when I was doing something else. I was wondering like what it was. Oh, I see. You're saying yes, state government being sacked. Yes. Yeah, and that's bad too. If the governor sacks a state government, but the governor general sacking a federal government is worse. So yeah, I don't know, because after I finish a live stream, YouTube processes the video and goes like, and it's much higher quality than it would be in the stream. Because YouTube gets all the information and processes it, and it's much nicer than the stream. So yeah, saying, oh, did lots of people like Gough? Well, Gough was a revolutionary. There is no two ways about it. Australia had stagnated for decades under conservative governments, and when Gough Whitlam won power, he was a revolutionary. Changed so much, and so much for the better. Now, obviously, a lot of this is ideology, like free education, and a whole bunch of other things. But because he was actually really radical, people were freaking out. The CIA had some directives to interfere with the government, and then the government couldn't borrow any money, so couldn't pay government employees, and it all got a bit murky and dark, and there were various scandals with his ministers, and yeah, culminated in the dismissal by the Governor General. And then the opposition leader, Malcolm Fraser, was put in as interim PM, and then there was a federal election soon after, and Malcolm Fraser won in a landslide. So a lot of the people who opposed Whitlam felt vindicated by that. But David pointing out that Fraser post-politics became an old lefty. Like he said, the Liberal Party lost its way, and he really disliked their policies and spoke out against them a lot. But even when he was in power, like I remember, the lefties hated Fraser. He was a Nazi and blah, blah, blah. Fraser in power was more progressive on almost everything than recent Labor governments have been. It's just the passage of time. People don't realise that. And because we think now the Liberal Party is John Howard and Tony Abbott, and it's like, no, it's like things. So, but he upset lots of the establishment of the Liberal Party later in life because he was very progressive and regularly criticised the Liberal Party. And so he was a very interesting figure. So politics is complicated. People change over years. And some people don't. John Howard's still a cockhead. He was saying something really fucking stupid in the media just last week or so. It's like, oh, you're an annoying little man. And I was so glad. Oh, Cliff Chopper, this is the whole thing, like, why is the major Australian Conservative Party called the Liberal Party? See, when it was formed, which was, mid-20th century, the people forming it meant in the classical liberal sense. They were not, by the standards of the day, they were not like religious Puritans like conservatives tend to be today. They were about, hey, let people run their own lives. Government should hold the infrastructure together, but let people run their own lives. And then they became anti-communist because they saw, and they rightly saw, Russian communism as the opposite of liberal ideals. It's like, wait, that's the government controlling everything, telling people what they can and can't do, strangling everything with central control. We're very opposed to that. And so when they started, the Liberal Party were liberal in the classical sense. The modern Liberal Party has moved so far away from those founding ideals. The DLP went to the NLP. Australian politics. Yoshi, learning Russian could come in handy. Learn Chinese as well. That will probably be very handy in the next century. Yeah. In terms of who's going to be running things. Yeah. I don't know what Russia's gonna do. It's like, see, people have started having bloody nuclear nightmares again. See, I'm old enough to remember, Cold War nightmares. In the 80s, we all thought we were gonna die. In the 80s, we were pretty goddamn sure we were gonna die in a nuclear war. 70s and 80s, we were basically pretty sure we were going to die in a nuclear war. And then the Cold War ended, and all the pressure seemed to go away, and everyone's like, oh, well, we can just worry about all these other things, and other shit happened for a couple of decades, and Now, with the behaviour of Russia, and now with the behaviour of Trump, and the behaviour of China and North Korea, it's starting to look like, okay, the nuclear thing feels like a worry again. So you've got people having nuclear nightmares. Yeah, there's a few good movies and a few average movies about the nuclear nightmare. One everyone knows, which is a long way from being the best one. Oh yeah, Threads in the War Game. Jeez, the Day After was a really shitty movie. I really didn't like it. I was thinking of War Games. But yeah, Threads and the other TV one. But look, a movie that not that many people saw, that was, a nuclear war thing, that was really quite good, is called Miracle Mile. If you can dredge it out anyway. It has, the lead is Anthony. Red Dawn is a dumb fucking movie. Anthony Edwards, Goose from Top Gun, is the lead in Miracle Mile, and it's a really good movie. Because I haven't seen it in ages, so I don't know how well it holds up. But yes, RC, you know it, the telephone call. Basically, a guy gets a wrong number call on a public box, and it's from a guy who works in a nuclear launch facility who's trying to call his parents and say, "Oh my God, I love you, it's all over." And then you spent the rest of the movie, the tension rises like, was that real? Was that call real? Are missiles being launched? What's going to happen? And it's really well done. So if you can dredge it out anywhere, Miracle Mile with Anthony Edwards is really worth watching. So, there was a whole genre in the 80s of nuclear war movies. Red Dawn wasn't nuclear war, that was commies invading America, and that was just comically bad. It was ridiculous. I mean, it's kind of funny. Yes, you can hear my dishwasher in the background. I was going to switch it off. Well, Dr. Strangelove is 60s though, of course. The Frost Nixon film. I quite like that. Although it's interesting, there are some bits in that people on Nixon's side deny. Notably, a drunken Nixon calling Frost and divulging certain things. The Nixon camp deny that ever happened, but Frost says it did. So the Nixon camp think the Frost Nixon movie has some fibs in it. Oh God, speaking of which, the Nixon Library has a Twitter account, and after Trump sacked the FBI director, they just had a slam at him. They just tweeted, "Fun fact, Nixon never fired the director of the FBI." It's just like, fucking hell, man. When the Nixon Library is shit-talking you in public, saying, "We have the moral high ground on you," you're really bad. Who's tweeting, Jude? The Nixon Library, the people who administer the Nixon Library. That's a thing in America. When someone's an ex-president, they have a library. Cliff Jumper saying being able to troll Trump. Look, in terms of having a laugh, Trump's insecurity is the big thing. Like, pointing out how badly he lost the popular vote, pointing out how poorly attended his inauguration was, all those things that show what a fucking loser he is. He can't stand it. And his insecurity is very funny. Yeah, Yoshi, baboon's a fair enough thing, waving his big red ass about in the air. Jude, yeah, I think, it's fair to suggest Nixon's ghost is haunting Twitter. That's a thing. That could happen. I could see that, most definitely. But no, it's the people who administer his library. So, oh yeah, Joe, the fake news thing. It's embarrassing how that's caught on. like Trump's insolence on the fake news thing. Like, hilariously, I don't know if everyone or anyone's seen the monologue Stephen Colbert did on the Tonight Show. What's his one? I lose track of what they're called. You know, there's the Tonight Show and the Late Show, and Colbert's the Late Show, isn't he? And after Trump was mind-bogglingly insulting to a fairly well-respected journalist, Colbert went on and just ripped him and just said, like, it's unacceptable. That's, you know, there are standards that are meant to be maintained and you've let it go and it's unacceptable, and you slagged off a man of integrity who won't speak out at you. But I'm not a man of integrity. I'm right here. And he went on this big diatribe and said how, and the killer line was how he should stop talking because nothing worthwhile comes out of his mouth, and the only use for his mouth is as Putin's cock holster. Now, that was a pretty extreme thing to say on TV, quite honestly. Yeah, that was just so full on. Oh, dude, I've told the story. I've just heard that, yeah, the DS9 music you hear there. Mrs. Angry and her son are in the next room. They have been watching all the Star Trek series in order of the Star Trek universe timeline. So the first one they watched together was actually the most recent series, Enterprise. Then they watched the original series. Then they watched the original series movies. Then Next Gen. And then they used a website to tell when to start watching episodes of Deep Space Nine that crossed over with Next Gen. And then Voyager, and so they intersperse Voyager and Deep Space Nine now. And look, they'll be finished just in time for the new series of Star Trek's coming out later this year, Discovery. Hey there, Captain Fizzman. Celtic King, I'm almost sure that someone has done a picture of Putin and Trump with Trump's being Putin's cock holster. Blake 7, oh, old school. I used to watch Blake 7 all the time. Photorealistic painting is nightmare material. But yes, old school sci-fi. I mean, because I'm a big Doctor Who fan. Watch Doctor Who. Yeah, Dottie, the Star Trek watching has been going on for ages. Cliff, I think making the series Enterprise was a real challenge because it's set much earlier than the original series. But of course, the original series was limited by technology of the 60s, so it looks really shit. So they wanted Enterprise to kind of not look as shit as the original series, but somehow be years earlier than it. And I think they juggled it fairly well. Yeah, now the new series, Discovery, is set 10 years prior to the original series. They released a trailer today that said that. And so the first thing is that it's 10 years prior to the original series. And the second, the main thing seems to be about war with the Klingons. So that will be interesting. And they've got a pretty good cast. It looks very interesting. Captain's Michelle Yeoh. I'd follow her anywhere. She could be my captain, most definitely. Ever since I saw her in Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon, she's so cool. Now, what's the overall plot of Star Trek? It's the exploration of space, and it's very often an allegory for our world. Ha! RC, 70s Doctor Who, yeah, that's dodgy effects. And the question, am I much of a gamer? Not much, because gaming takes up too much time. And making videos takes up a lot of time, and having a family takes up a lot of time. I like games, but I just don't play much because I don't have time. I have been having fun for the last year or so playing the Borderlands series, because I like shoot 'em ups, and I really like the sense of humor in Borderlands. Plus, just getting to blow things apart and have blood sprays everywhere. Lots of fun. So I think Borderlands is fun. I mean, the kids, they got the new Nintendo platform, and man, that Zelda game, like, I really want to spend a couple 100 hours playing the new Zelda game. It just looks friggin' awesome. But I haven't, because I think it would literally take up hundreds of hours of my time, and I maybe need to dedicate that hundreds of hours somewhere else. In terms of, on my phone, I do the Simpsons world building thing tapped out. Like, who remembers Farmville? This is like Farmville, but with the Simpsons, and you build your own Springfield, and I've been doing it for years. I wish there was something where I could look up how many years have I been playing that, and I've got like 100 and something Simpsons characters in the game. Something I do like on public transport and on my lunch hour and stuff. It's just called Tapped Out because you're tapping all the time, of course. And it's got a lot of self-referential stuff in it about they all know they're in a game. You're called the Sky Finger. You're their god because you make things happen by touching it with your finger. Yeah, on one level, I'd like to play more games because I like gaming, but I just don't have the time. Very time-consuming. Yes, one of my snarky t-shirts I got, that was when Farmville was very popular, and it just says like, I don't give a fuck about your farm. Fun fact, and I have said this before, I'm from the country where there are farms, and when that t-shirt came out, it was in a chain called JJ's, had all these snarky t-shirts, and they had this one, no one gives a shit about your farm, and with a dead cow on it. And this was in the country, and lots of farmers were having a very bad time. Like, farms were failing, farmers were committing suicide. It was very bad. And so when this came into the store, she's like, we can't put this on the shelves. I know, this is fine in bigger cities. We can't have a t-shirt that says like, nobody gives a shit about your farm with a dead cow on it. That's just like, ooh, no, we can't do that. They're like, yeah, you're probably right. Look, talking about my t-shirts, when I get set up finally in this place, might make some more t-shirts. I haven't made t-shirts for a while, and I've got a bunch of t-shirts to be made, and I've got the paints for them, and I got some new ones recently, some spray ones, and Santa Claus, was there an attempted impeachment? I don't think so. We've basically been talking about Trump all the time. I'm at my Matt, you people are just coming in. I'm going to be gone really soon. Been doing this for about an hour and a half, which is about my limit. This is the thing. The whole Trump fiasco is so unprecedented. Anyone who says they know what's going to happen is talking shit. And I in the whole lead up to the election, I was as guilty as anyone. Like, no way Trump's getting... No, that's just not real. Trump's not getting elected. That's not a real thing. I was as guilty as anyone of saying that. And what this brought home, and the Brexit vote and a few other things, what it brought home to me is nobody knows shit. Luke, yeah, when I used to have the Angry phone. Yes, technically I still do. It's just never plugged in. Yeah, so look, what's going to happen to Trump? Is Trump going to stay the whole term? I don't know. It's just like he keeps fucking up so... Like, he's only been there a couple of months. And he's fucking up so badly. And then he fucks up and fucks up. And it's just... Logic suggests he can't possibly remain in office. Logic suggests that. But logic also suggests he couldn't win the election. It was a really safe bet to say he couldn't win the election. But he won it. And again, it seems like a safe bet to say he can't stay in office. No way. No way he stays in office. You know, he's impeached, he quits, he dies because he's in such bad health. But, you know, man, who knows? An impeachment trial. So this is the thing, like, if somebody put articles of impeachment in, would he quit? Who knows? Nobody knows. And the guy's got nuclear powers. Again, I did see someone point today that someone who was on Nixon's staff admitted as the Watergate thing built and built, Nixon was drinking quite heavily and getting quite erratic. And his seconds in command actually told the army and the State Department, don't act. If you get an order from the president to launch the nukes, don't act on it unless, like, Kissinger backs it up, okay? If you get an order, double check, okay? And that is, as the person who wrote it said, that's completely unconstitutional, was also a really good idea. And you've got to think, at the moment, if you were in the military and you got an order to launch nukes, you wouldn't do it. You would just go, fuck, no, I'm not having anything to do with this bullshit. Who knows? That's the whole thing. We're in this thing like, fucking anything could happen, and the most probable thing is lots of people are going to get hurt. So, yes. Anyway, there's going to be far more to say about Trump, and I'll certainly be saying it. So, thank you everyone for joining me. I'm really enjoying these live streams. I'm definitely going to do more of them. So, will I bring the angry phone back? I might. Yeah, like I said, technically I've still got it. I just haven't plugged it in a very long time. So I assume the voicemail's really full. Oh, Trump's orders of magnitude worse than Abbott. Abbott was a dickhead, but he didn't have the power to fuck things up like Trump does. So thanks everyone. I'll see you later. And hey, if you missed the start, you could always go back. Once this YouTube renders it, the whole thing is, I leave these up on my YouTube channel. Yeah, it's been fun. Thanks everyone for joining in. And I'll be doing it again soon. So hopefully you'll be back soon. So see you then. Bye-bye.